Hello, I'm Alexa. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with Aman Mathur, and we are going to be talking about UX internships. Aman Mathur is an engineering student from the University of Waterloo in Canada. He has a background in front-end development and product design, and is currently a product design intern at PlanGrid right here in San Francisco. At school, he's an organizer of Hack the North, which is Canada's biggest hackathon, and helps run Waterloo's only design club called UW-UX. Over this past summer, he's also helped start a new series of videos on YouTube called 16 Weeks of Internships, which we'll go into a little bit later. But for now, I'd love to hear more about what it's like going to school at the University of Waterloo.
Waterloo is really great. I love it. It's a school that kind of has a focus on technology, engineering, computer science, but we also do like a bunch of other stuff as well. In Canada, it's kind of different, I think, from here, where you pick your major as soon as you start.
Yeah.
So I'm in a systems design engineering program, which is basically an interdisciplinary engineering. So you have some hardware courses, some software courses, lots of math and physics, which isn't really related to UX, but a lot of people end up doing design because it kind of teaches you a overall view of how to approach problems. So yeah, I really love the school, and my class is 90 people.
Oh wow.
So it's a really tight-knit community.
So are there multiple engineering programs at Waterloo?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
so we
okay.
have software engineering,
Yep.
Computer engineering, biomedical, mechanical. There's a whole range.
So there's computer science and software engineering?
There is. It's actually,
Okay.
It's kind of weird. It's a bit different from other schools where
Yeah.
computer science is in the math faculty, and it's
Yeah.
very math focused and theoretical. And then software engineering, they have to take the physics and the
Okay.
all of the traditional engineering type courses.
Yeah. Okay, so you're studying engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that you're a front-end developer and a product designer.
Right. Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Again, with my school, we have this program which is called co-op, where every 4 months we switch between school and work. So we get a chance to intern at different companies. So for my first one, I actually did a front-end developer role. I love building the things that I design. So I kind of, even if I'm doing a design co-op role, I try to dabble in the front end, or on my free time just work on some side projects and things like that.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
So your first job was a front-end
Mm-hmm.
development internship. Can you talk about how you got that internship?
For sure. So yeah, that was my first job. That was a startup in Toronto, and it was actually through our school's job posting board.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky enough to find someone who posts there. But basically what it is, it's a list of jobs, and then you get to apply, and then after that it's any traditional job application process.
Okay. What did you leave that internship with?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have work you could put in a portfolio? I'm not
Right.
super familiar with
Yeah.
how interviews work for front-end development.
Right.
What was that like?
I think lucky for me, it was a smaller company, so I got a chance to do some design work.
Cool.
So I was able to put something onto my design portfolio, which was a side project that I worked on at work. I got to do some research, and I got to create wireframes. Started working with Figma. This was a year, last January.
Okay.
And it was funny because I was doing front end work, but all day at work I'd be reading articles about design and listening to podcasts and learning more about design because I was so interested in it, and that's what really pushed me to apply for design roles.
After that internship, you were set.
I was
I want to get into
I need to
product
be a
design.
designer. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then what happened?
Oh, okay. So then coming into the next term of school, looking at the job board, I was all right, I'm going to filter by design, looking
okay.
for UX, product design. I applied to a whole bunch. One interview I had was with IBM, and we kind of just clicked. The interviewer, it was a call where we went through our portfolio, and I showed the work that I'd done. A lot of it was related to Hack the North because I got a chance to learn a lot of design skills through that, pick up I guess visual design skills, pick up actual craft in that, and be able to show work that people have used. I got to work on the application process to come to the event. So there were almost 7,000 people who had applied and who had gone through what I created,
Wow.
what I designed. So
Okay, wait, so back up then.
Yeah.
So you created something through this hackathon, Hack the North, that then you used in your portfolio
Exactly.
to get the job at IBM.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
great. That's cool.
that was I think one of the biggest things, just being able to be part of a community group and an organization, because it's kind of one step above a personal side project, I feel, because
Yeah.
you get to make something that people actually use. It adds a bit of credibility, I think, rather than just working on a project on your own.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest part. It's getting that first portfolio piece. And
for
it's
sure.
not that you don't need to have a product or a service that
Right.
people use to put in your portfolio.
Yeah.
That's definitely not necessary, but it's gonna help.
Yeah.
It'll help you tell the story better.
Yeah.
It's more realistic. So that's awesome. So you have your first UX internship. You're at IBM.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for something like that?
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, it was kind of just going to a blind. And like I said, they were looking for someone who is really eager to learn. So I think that's where I stood out. I told them about how I was so excited and like reading all these things, and I think that really resonated with them because they wanted someone who is willing to come onto the team and basically just absorb everything and like, create something great. I think for me, again, it was just practicing like my skills. Actually, IBM is really cool. They have something called like the Enterprise Design Thinking booklet. So it's basically this like series of design thinking exercises and like workshops, which is all actually public. So I had like read that before going into it and like understood what like their way of thinking, I think.
Cool.
Because although it wasn't like strict, you have to follow these things, it's kind of like a framework that they use a lot of the times when approaching design.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's key, honestly. Like, it stands out a lot to companies when you've done that research into what they do and like you can speak to it in an interview. Something that I always recommend people do when they're starting out is like you always want to go and read about the CEO.
Right.
Like the leadership that comes from the top is going to translate into everything about how the company works. I think that's similar, like what you did, reading about this like artifact that their team created. So you can speak to that. So super smart.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. Like looking at the leadership, because at the end of the day, that's like the culture is really defined from the top. So after that, it was December. Went back home for Christmas, then went to school for 4 months. And that's when I started applying for my next internship. And again, I was like set on design. It's like I have this experience now. And the next thing that I really wanted to do was find a company that I like really loved and was passionate about, and also I wanted to explore different places. So that's kind of what brought me to San Francisco. I have this goal to like do a different internship in a different city every time.
Awesome.
Just to like push myself to be out there and not like stay comfortable, basically. So do you know Chantel?
Yes.
So Chantel is my manager currently at PlanGrid, and I actually heard her on a podcast that I was listening to when I was like doing that learning stuff and like listening to all those podcasts. I heard her and I heard her talk about PlanGrid, so it was always like in the back of my mind. And then I had seen it on her job board and I was like, okay, I have to apply for this. And then she was the one who interviewed me, and it was just like now I work with her on a day-to-day, so it's just like crazy to see the listening and learning and knowing nothing about design to being able to like work with one of my like mentors and idols kind of from back then.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, can you speak a little bit more about what is PlanGrid? What has your experience been like working there as an intern?
So PlanGrid is in the construction tech space. So I got to work on a really cool project, basically migrate users over to the new feature, and I'm kind of abstracting it out a lot.
Yeah, that's fine.
But again, it gave me a chance to do lots of like user research. I got to get on like customer calls with like architects and general contractors, which I had like no experience with, and got to ask them about their workflows, and it's really understanding like their mental model about approaching how they do construction. And it's really cool seeing the different types of users, and even within our product space, the people who use our product use it in such different ways. So I really got to do research there and understand how they use it, and then try to create like a flow and create a UI that really works for so many different types of people in different cases.
So you're about to end this internship. It's like this week,
this is my last week.
Last week, crazy. So over the last few months, what would you say is one of the most important lessons you've learned from being a product design intern there?
The biggest thing that I've learned is like how valuable communication is. I think in any role, no matter what your role is, just being able to communicate clearly. And this goes from being in meetings and like talking to people to like way before the meeting. So just being able to set up meetings is one thing that I've really learned about. Having like a clear agenda and like what you're going to talk about, clear goals going into things. Oftentimes people you don't regularly communicate with, you have to reach out to like some random person who might be in like a different time zone because they know some information, and you have to figure out how to like send them like this cold message being like, hey, I heard you know this, and I grab some time next week to talk about it. And just being able to do that and get comfortable with communicating is one of the biggest skills and takeaways I've had.
I love that, and I agree. I think it's an important skill that you'll probably need to have in any job that you take.
Exactly.
But then it's like, okay, now you layer on UX. It's like you have to actually be able to speak to what the job is and what you need, and you don't want to waste people's time. That's a big one. Setting an agenda is like really key. And even if it's just like yourself, like you want to come prepared for that meeting, like we're gonna get this and this done, or at least we're gonna leave this meeting with knowing this information. No one's gonna be blocked.
For sure.
What advice would you give to someone who's looking for their first UX internship right now?
Going back to that time when I was doing like a front end role and was just first learning about design, the best way for me to learn was actually going to like events. So I was lucky to be in Toronto, where there are lots of design events and like UX. If you just go on like meetup.com, there's lots of like meetups and things like that, which happen, like design panels. So just by going to those events and putting yourself in an environment where you can meet people and talk about things, it's like the best way to learn, in my opinion. It might be scary at first, so you could like take a friend with you who's also interested in design, pull them out, be like, I really want to go to this thing. A thing that I love about the community is that people are so friendly. Like that's how I met you too, right? Just like at some event.
All right, so let's jump in and talk about your 16 Weeks of Internships project, which is it's a YouTube channel called 16 Weeks of Internships. I'll link it in the description below. It says, we're a group of students from the University of Waterloo with the goal of bringing life back into internship job descriptions. By sharing our own unique experiences, our goal is to help others gain perspectives on an industry, role, or city they might be interested in trying out. That's so cool. So basically, I've gone and checked out the channel. It's awesome. Every week, there's a new video uploaded by a different person who has a different type of job, who lives in a different city. And I guess from my understanding, these are all like your friends. They're part of like this program that you're in at Waterloo. Can you speak a little bit more about how this started?
Yeah, for sure. So it started with a group of us just coming together with the idea to pay forward like the knowledge and insight that we've gained over a couple of years of university to the new group of students which are coming into school.
So your video is already up there. I'm gonna play a clip of it right now.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Aman and I'm going to be showing you what it's like to be a product design intern at PlanGrid in San Francisco. At the time of filming this video, I've spent about 2 months in San Francisco. This is currently my first time working in San Francisco and the Bay Area, and it has been a really awesome experience so far. I've had a chance to visit a lot of the tourist attractions and explore the different neighborhoods in the city. I live with my roommates Enoch, Adrian, and Alex. A typical day for me starts out around 8 or 8:30 with me waking up and getting ready to go to work. I usually walk to work. It's a really nice walk.
So tell me more about your experience filming this and like what did you want to share?
First of all, like what it's like being in San Francisco, because that's also a big thing. At Waterloo, people are always like curious about what it's like in different cities. So that was one part, just showing like scenes of things that I've seen here. The next thing was showing what PlanGrid is, because again, people, PlanGrid might not be like a household name that people know about, but just sharing what the company does, because I've like loved working there, so I want to share that with people. And then talking a bit about what designers do, because it still isn't like more ambiguous field, I feel. And especially at like an engineering focused school, people know what software engineering is, like what computer science is, but not everyone knows what UX and product design is, so just talking a bit about that and diving into what we do on a day-to-day.
So before we totally wrap things up, you had mentioned when you were getting excited and interested in UX for the first time, you were like reading articles, going to podcasts, like what are some of those resources? Like what are some of the good places to look?
One of my favorite podcasts is called Design Details. I haven't listened to it for a while, but when I was listening to it before, if you just start from the beginning, there's some really great episodes, and they basically were interviewing product designers in the SF Bay Area. So just hearing like the stories, it's a very casual thing. It's not like teaching you skills per se, but it's more teaching you like what designers talk about, what they think about, and just like a general thing like that. And you get an overview of work that people have done. So I really love that. And just like on Medium, reading a bunch of articles, there's lots of good publications. There's like the UX Planet publication is one that I used to read a lot. All
right, Aman, thank you so much. This was such a great interview. So interesting to learn about your experience with Waterloo, your internships, the project. If people want to connect with you after watching this video, where would they go?
So you can connect with me, follow me on Twitter, Aman Mathur03. I think you can put it somewhere here in the description.
It's gonna be in the description.
And then also at 16 Weeks of Internships on YouTube or on Facebook, just following the page. We post content regularly, and you can see the things that I've been working on.
This was great.
Thank you.
I think that's all for now. Bye.
Bye.